Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna. I'm Rajarsi Dasa. Welcome to Hare Krishna today. On today's program, we're going to continue our series, an overview of the Bhagavad Gita. In our previous lesson, our previous program, we looked at Arjuna's 5 reasons for not wanting to fight. The first reason he gave was feeling compassion, feeling sorry for his family members, his friends. So we looked at the second chapter, verses 12 or 11 through 30, where Krishna actually refuted Arjuna's argument of compassion, feeling sorry. That was where Krishna, in those verses, he dealt with analytical study. Soul is eternal. No one can die. Body is temporary. Body is going to die anyway. So he refuted Arjuna's argument. Arjuna's second argument, happiness. He didn't want to perform his prescribed duty of fighting because he said, we won't get any happiness. We don't see how any good can come from this battle. Let us look at some of Arjuna's words where he spoke about this. He said, Arjuna said that, what pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? He said that, of what avail to us is a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself? Arjuna didn't see how he could enjoy. So Krishna refutes Arjuna's argument that he won't be able to enjoy with a less noble system of religion. Karma Kand. Karma Kand means the Vedas has these 4 goals. Dharma means you perform some religious activities to get artha, economic gain. Economic gain so that kam, you'll be able to enjoy. So that's religious. And then moksha, then you will aspire for liberation. So this section, Krishna, after verses 30 was where he ended this analytical study of body and spirit. Now he's going to speak about, he's going to refute Arjuna's argument that he could enjoy. What do you mean that you won't be able to enjoy? So let us look at how Krishna addressed Arjuna's situation. He says in text 31, considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles. And so there is no need for hesitation. Then directly Krishna says to Arjuna, O Bharata, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. So Krishna is saying, happy are the Kshatriyas for whom such fighting opportunity come unsought, opening for them the doors to heaven. Meaning, if you die in battle, there's a quotation from the scriptures. The Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties. And for that reason, he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings and thus with religious principles he should rule over the world. So, if the Kshatriya performs his duty, if he wins a kingdom here, he'll be able to enjoy. But even if he dies in battle, he attains the heavenly planets. So Krishna is saying here that if, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sin for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Now this happens to be Arjuna's next argument as to why he shouldn't fight. He said sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. And Krishna now is arguing, if you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sin. So Krishna reverses Arjuna's argument on him. You are saying that if you perform your duty, if you kill these people, you'll get sin. But Krishna is saying that I am saying to you that if you don't perform your prescribed duty of fighting, you will incur sin. If you don't do your dharma, you'll get karma. So Krishna is giving these arguments to show Arjuna, look, you should perform your prescribed duty. It's such a noble thing to perform your duty. Now you may wonder, well, how does this apply to us in our life? Well, that's very relevant. Why? How many people refrain from religiosity because it is an obstacle to their enjoyment? Yes, we are not willing to go forward in religious life, follow the scriptures, because we think it will hamper my enjoyment. I don't want to surrender to God because I'll have to do things for His pleasure, His satisfaction, and that means at the cost, at my sacrifice. I won't be able to enjoy. But actually, this is a grave misunderstanding. Why? Thinking about enjoying independent from Krishna, actually, every action produces a reaction. In Krishna's words, he says, such pleasures, they have a beginning and they have an end. And a wise person, nateshu ramate buddha, the wise person doesn't delight in that type of pleasure, trying to enjoy separate from God. Yes, you can't blame anyone for wanting to enjoy. But enjoyment, intelligent enjoyment, means linking with the reservoir of all pleasure. And that is the special function of the human being, to use his intellect to understand God is the reservoir of all pleasure. He's all attractive. He's all powerful. He is all wealthy. He can give complete shelter. He can give complete protection. But in ignorance of who God is and His position, in ignorance under the spell of Maya, illusion, we think that I can take shelter of friends, family members, bank balance, things of this world. But the Bhagavad warns us, these things are asat sainyeshu, fallible souls, and they'll be finished. They cannot give us actual protection. So Krishna gave these reasons to Arjuna, this Karma Kand section, that you will be able to enjoy. You can attain the heavenly kingdom and enjoy. That, of course, is a lower religious principle that later on Krishna would instruct Arjuna on higher principles, not like we just want to live our life to just go to the heavenly regions and just enjoy. Later on we'll see how Krishna even refutes that. But we can look at Krishna giving now after saying that you will be able to enjoy and you won't incur sin if you perform your prescribed duty. So now he is combining what he taught earlier on, verses say 11 or 12 through 30, Gyan, Sankhya, analytical study, having knowledge of matter and spirit, of body and soul. And then he's saying perform your prescribed duty, you work. But now Krishna is combining the two. Work with the understanding that you are an eternal soul, but being situated in this world, you could attain perfection by acting with knowledge that you are not this temporary body, you are eternal soul, and not be attached. So we're going to look at a section, Buddhi Yoga, fight, but without any reaction. These are verses 39 through 53. I'll just read a summary description of this section. So Krishna changes the topic from Gyan and Karma to Buddhi Yoga, working in devotional service with fixed intelligence and detachment from the fruits of action. Karma and Gyan are combined together to engage the transcendentalist, the spiritualist, in work with knowledge. So this is an important section in the Bhagavad Gita. So we would look at these verses from 39. Of course, Krishna criticized Arjuna in some of these verses also. Some lower reason. He said, people would laugh at you. For one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. If you just desist from the battle and you run away, he said, for one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. He said, people will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. He said, the great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only. Yes. So Krishna is telling Arjuna how, what kind of thing, what would people say about you? So now Krishna is going to give this higher principle of working. He said, do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat. And by so doing, you shall never incur sin. So it's important that we become attached to doing duty rather than being pleasure-oriented. Is it pleasing to my senses? I'll do it. If it is not pleasing to me, I won't do it. That's a dangerous premise. Because things that are pleasing to our senses, we become attached. It makes us more attached to this body. And aversion is similarly detrimental. Averse, giving up this, giving up that. What is pleasing, I go for it. I become attached. What is not pleasing to me, I'm just giving it up all the way, giving it up. But the miseries of this world are actually meant to teach us a very important lesson. And we should get that right. If we just, in the process of aversion, just giving up everything, that's a problem also. So in these beautiful verses, Krishna speaks about the virtue of performing duty in devotional service. In text 40 he says, Nehabhikramanashosti pratyavayuna vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna had a question, or later on in the Gita, he asked this question, well, what about a person who give up material duties and take up some spiritual practice but then due to worldly mindedness, he gave up this also. Isn't such a person just lost? Well, he doesn't gain anything materially because he gave up that to take up spiritual life, but then he wasn't successful in spiritual life also. So here Krishna is saying on this part, there's no loss or diminution. Whatever you do, even a little, from the next life, you will be able to continue from there. So to use this human body is very important. Or there's a verse quoted from the Bhagavad. Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer bhajana pakvata patitato yadi yatra kvaba bhadram abodam ushakim kovarta apto bhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up his occupational duties and work in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activity perfectly? Or as the Christians say, what profiteth a man if he gains the whole world, yet suffers the loss of his eternal soul? So the spiritual part is all good. It's a win-win situation. Srila Prabhupada would say, spiritual life may be difficult, but material life is impossible. Meaning that everything will be finished at the time of death. Is that all? No. When you act outside of devotional service to the Lord, every action produces a reaction that brings suffering in the future. So it's not just a neutral situation. Then Krishna speaks about the further virtues of this process. Vyavasayatmika buddhi rekiha kurunandana bahushakha hiyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. Those who on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one, O beloved child of the Kurus. The intelligence of those who are irresolute are many branch. So sometimes people perform religious activities, do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that, worship this God, do that, worship that, worship. They do all types of things. But Krishna is saying here, those on this path, they're resolute in purpose, and ekeha kurunandana, their aim is one. Those who are not on this path, Krishna says, bahusakha, many branch, looking for pleasure there, looking here, trying to be happy with different things. So fate is described. Shraddha Shabde Sudridha Nishchaya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hoi. Fate is that conviction that Krishna Bhakti Kaile, that by doing devotional service to Krishna, Sarva Karma Krita Hoi, all other purposes are accomplished. Yes. Another verse from Bhagavad says, Yatha taror moola nisechanena tripyanti tatskanda bhujopashakha pranopahara chayatindriyanam tataiva sarvarhanam achyutija. Just as by pouring water on the root, mula, yatha taror moola nisechanena, you pour water on the root of the tree, all the leaves and twigs and branches, they all become nourished. And just as by putting food into the stomach, all the limbs of the body are nourished, so too, by worshipping the Supreme Lord, Krishna, all other duties are performed. Because there are millions of duties, this devata, that devata, people are supplying, or gods are supplying different necessities. But those who are on this path, Krishna says, yes to atmarati revasyat, but those whose purpose is self-realization, they have no such obligation to perform. Yagyo vai Vishnu, there is a maintainer of the universe. All the millions of devatas, they act on behalf of the maintainer Vishnu. So those who live their life in bhakti to Bhagavan, worshipping Vishnu, they don't have any such obligation to different gods and so on. So Krishna, he continues. Now the thing that earlier on he glorified, or he told Arjuna, well, you should perform your prescribed duty, because happy are the Kshatriyas for whom such fighting opportunities come, opening for them the doors to heaven. They can attain the heavenly planets. So this is good. You should worship. You should perform these, activities, this duty to attain the heaven. But now, giving the higher principle, Krishna condemns the lower principle. Just following Karma Kanda, this section of the Vedas, Krishna says about this division of the Vedas that do this to get that, just these material things. Krishna says, Yamimam pushpitam vacham bravadanti avipashchitaha vedavararata paratananyad ashtiti vadina kamatmana swarga para janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishvarya gatim prati. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. So there are a lot of people who are very much attracted to the Vedas. Why? Pushpitam vacham, these flowery words. They say, do this and you'll get that. Do that and you'll get that. You'll enjoy in the heavenly regions. You'll get wealth, you'll get this, you'll get that. So Krishna is condemning these things because he's saying that they less intelligent people, they're attracted to these things. And what is worse, they think that this is the goal of the Vedas. This is all in all. So when they think like that, na anyad ashtiti varina, they say there is nothing more to it. This is religion. They do something, I do dharma, I do some religiosity, so I get artha, I get material gain, so that I'll enjoy my senses. They say that's it. That's the purpose of the Vedas. But Krishna condemns this because he tells Arjuna, he says, Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktanam Tayapahrita Chetasam, that those who get themselves too implicated in bhoga, enjoying the senses, and Aishwarya, just in accumulating wealth, Krishna says, Samadhau na vidhyati, their mind, their consciousness cannot be fixed for self-realization. Because people wonder, well, can't I just enjoy the world and at the same time go back to God? Well, it doesn't work that way. As long as we are delighting, as long as we are enjoying material sense pleasure, where there is calm, this lust, there is no Ram. Ram is God, the reservoir of all pleasure. So once the senses and the mind is contaminated with these desires and attracted, the strong attraction for the material, the spiritual, the mind and the senses cannot be focused, cannot be fixed on God. Therefore the scripture says, Ramante yogino nante satyanande charatmani iti rama padena shau param brahma vidyati. Devotees, they yogis in devotion. Yoga means they connect. Connect to what? Rama, the Lord, is the reservoir of all pleasure. By this process, they connect to the reservoir of all pleasure. He has all beautiful form. We're looking to enjoy beauty of this world. But this is a product of the three modes of material nature, Maya. So it's a trick, a deception. You become attached to material objects and everything of this world. It is just transforming and then finish. That's the nature of this world. Temporary, changing. So Krishna is saying here, this won't work. This just trying to enjoy. He's saying, Traigunya Vishaya Veda. This is verse 45. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunya Bhavarajuna Nirdvanva Nitya Sattvastu Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. So this desire for gain and safety is based on bodily attachment, identifying with a temporary and a fallible body, and we want to secure and make things nice. But actually, Krishna is saying, become situated in the self. Meaning, if you realize that you're an eternal spirit soul, an eternal spirit soul cannot die. An eternal spirit soul just needs to be situated in its spirituality. So we don't need to go running about bodily and temporary pleasures. So Krishna is saying that rise above the three modes, this goodness, passion, and ignorance of this world. The soul is transcendental, spiritual. So become situated on the spiritual platform, meaning even now we have a temporary body, but this temporary body is used by the yogis to link with the Supreme. It is a vehicle. So while this body can be to our detrimental, to our adverse benefit, this body will degrade us, create bad karma and so on if we try to exploit and enjoy material nature. But then the same body, if linked, if utilized as a vehicle, linking to the Lord with the senses and mind of the same body, we can be liberated. This is the secret of Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is telling Arjuna here to become situated in the self. So if we use this physical body to act as a spirit soul, in other words, this body belongs to the Lord also. The soul belongs to the Lord. So we use this body to link, tongue to chant His name, hands for rendering service to Him. By this technique, we actually become well situated within this world. So then Krishna says, all purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So there are different Vedas, and they're all different kind of prescription. Do this to get that, do that to get that. You want health, you want wealth, different things. So here Krishna is saying that Brahmanasya Vijanataha, a person who actually knows the purpose behind the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas is simply to take people out of animal life. On the lowest level, there is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's animal life. So to take people out of that animalistic mode of life, the Vedas say, look, offer some things and you will get enjoyment. The same enjoyment you're looking for. Recognize that there are persons who are supplying, and you just offer some sacrifice to them, and then you will be able to enjoy. So the Vedas is just inducing, it is inducing materialistic people to become religious or to acknowledge that there is someone supplying, and you will be able to enjoy if you follow this higher principle. But then now Krishna is saying that there is a higher principle than that. Brahmanasya Vijanataha. One who knows the purpose behind the Vedas. What is that? Krishna says in chapter 15, verse 15, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedya Veda is just surveyed by all the Vedas. Ahameva Vedya. I am to be known. The ultimate goal of the Vedas is to know God. And when we know God, soul has no more problems again. You have $5 problem, $10 problem, $20 problem. If you have $1 million, all these little problems solved. So we're trying to get some health, some wealth, some this, some that. But when we have God, the reservoir of all pleasure, when we have the kingdom of God, the eternal abode, what then do we need? So while we're in this world, in illusion, we think, yeah, I need some security here, I need some shelter here, I need this. But Krishna said the very nature of this world is dukhalaya, temporary, full of miseries. That's the problem. So we have to give up this. So we'll conclude here, and we'll continue the subject matter in our next program. I'm Rajarsi saying Hare Krishna, and do join us again next week for a continuing presentation.